Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Mighty Blaze. We have a very, very special pub day interview today. I'm here with Elizabeth DeVeer. So excited. She's introducing her debut novel, The Ocean in Winter, which I had the great privilege of reading while she was working on it. This is like so near and dear to me, and I'm super excited to be featuring her on Blaze today. Before we turn our focus on Elizabeth, everybody, welcome to the Blaze. If you are a return viewer, thank you. Welcome back. If you are new to the Blaze, please know that we are a team of 37 creative volunteers. We keep taking on volunteers and sucking everybody in with our Blaze tractor beam, dedicated to connecting writers and readers in the age of COVID. And since we're coming out of COVID, beyond, providing digital platforms so you can see your favorite writers and new writers in their living rooms and ask them all sorts of nosy questions. That is what we're here for. If you like what you see today, please give us a like or a follow on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter. We are ubiquitous. Please consider signing up for our newsletter on our website, which is www.amightyblaze.com, so that you will never have literary FOMO ever again. No more FOMO. We will keep you in the know of everything that is going on in the lit world. And today, again, we are so thrilled to welcome debut author Elizabeth DeVeer. Welcome.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. And can I just say that A Mighty Blaze is one of the examples of things coming that were born in the era of COVID that I just want them to stay forever. What a brilliant idea. And eating on sidewalks all year round. That's the other thing. But I mean, I'm so impressed with your squad of volunteers and the energy and the love and the passion that's coming out of this is just, it's just beautiful. It just is. Outstanding.
Thank you so much. We do have a squad. I usually call them the crew, like the pirate crew, but I think I'll start calling us the squad or the Blaze squad. So
yeah, and get them pom-poms.
Right? Oh, good idea, Mark. You heard that. Pom-poms are coming.
Pom-poms
all the guys in my crew are like, God, it's enough that we have to deal with the ring lights and the lip gloss and all of that crap. Now we have to have pom-poms and skirts. So yeah,
they deserve pom-poms. They deserve pom-poms. That's the thank you present.
Maybe megaphone, maybe scotch, probably, for like putting up with me. I think it's what they all deserve. So yeah, there are things that we are going to take from the pandemic that were good things that we're going to carry forward. Hopefully Blaze is one of them, but you are entering the book scene now with a new book at a time when we're opening back up. So you're doing live events and virtual, which I definitely want to talk about. Yes, there's your book. Fantastic. Okay, hold it up and smile, please. See my ring light? Hooray! I want to hear all about this. So full disclosure, I've known Elizabeth for, I don't even know how many years it is now, since we were both like 16, you know. We met at fabulous Grub Street Writers here in Boston. Elizabeth is on the North Shore of Boston, and I'm right in downtown Boston. And I have read this book in process. I read her book before that in process when we were researching, when she was researching her previous book. We both ended up in the panhandle of Oklahoma, in Guyman, Oklahoma, where Elizabeth introduced me to Rachel Sides, who's the librarian there, and Malin Johnson, who is the town manager. We love you guys so much. And I piggybacked onto Elizabeth's research and like did a reading at the library. And then we went storm chasing with one of the town EMTs, Elvia Hernandez, who like kept us from getting killed. And so we've been having these adventures for years, but like not only that, we have like gone flea marketing on the North Shore, and I had my dog Woodrow before Elizabeth and her husband had their dog and their child. So we just go way back, and I have this really fond memory of like the last few months my dog Woodrow was alive. Elizabeth and her husband and their daughter came to my apartment, and Woodrow couldn't really walk, and so they like gave him baguette, you know, and like just sat on the floor with us and kept us company. Like, you guys are my family. So today I feel like I'm like gonna quell out here, but like I'm interviewing somebody who I've watched pursue her dream for like at like 15 years at least, like watched you climb this mountain to get this book published, and now it's happening. And I'm like, it's like your own family is like, I have goosebumps, like your own family is actually publishing her first book, and I'm so proud of you and so excited for you. I can't even. So Sorry, guys.
You think you can't even? I can't even, not even.
All right, so I'm going to read your official bio now, just so
Okay.
you guys all know who you're dealing with. And then we're just going to talk about Elizabeth's incredibly beautiful book, which made me cry for a solid 40 pages at the end. Elizabeth DeVeer is a Master of Theological Studies from Harvard Divinity School and has been admitted to writing residencies at the Jantel Artist Residency, the Cambridge Center for Creative Arts and Sciences, and the Virginia Center for the Creative Arts. She is a member of several writing groups, including Grub Street Writers, whoop, whoop, Newburyport Writers Group. Newburyport is fantastic. We love their literary festival as well. Sisters in Crime New England, which is a Hank Philippi Ryan thing, I think, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So, yay.
100%.
And New Hampshire Writers Project. And now she lives in a small town in Northeast Massachusetts, which is beautiful. P.S. with her husband, daughter, and their Labradoodle Momo, who might make an appearance later. I'm told we love dogs here at the Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
Ocean and Winter is Elizabeth's first novel. And this is really important, you guys. If you want to support this beautiful debut author, please follow her on social media for her updates. And I have been following with great admiration because we both know it's very time consuming to do social media and do it well. And you have been doing like this splendid job of posting about the book with this very nice balance of like, here's my book, but like not being like, hey, everybody read it. I'm just like keeping us posted on like why you wrote it and what is happening next. So please follow Elizabeth on Facebook, Twitter, and her Instagram, which is beautiful. And so without further ado, please tell us what the Ocean of Winter is. Where is
Can
it?
I have one quick ado?
Yeah,
One quick ado. My Instagram is beautiful, and I want to just say that with the acknowledgement that I have a squad of absolutely wonderful women based in Beverly. I think it's just a coincidence that it's women. It's actually it's not. So never mind. It's an awesome squad based in Beverly, and they are designers and creators and artists and marketing specialists, and they're brilliant, and they keep reminding me, and this is just a tip for writers and everybody out there. Like if you find people who are doing the thing that you think is great, like hang on to those people because they will support you the whole time. Oh, and there's my dog. I think the mailman's here. Anyway.
Well, I think we've been talking about like, could the mailman come on and do a little cameo with Momo? So,
Sure.
you know, if you want the postman to
We'll
come
go
on,
bring him in.
That is such great advice. And I was actually going to ask you for your advice for authors, especially debut authors. But like finding if you are not crazy about doing something, have other people do it for you and hold on. What is the name of the marketing company that you're using for Insta? Because they're doing a great job.
They are doing a great job. It's called GL Design, and that is right. Do I have the right name? I'm suddenly like paranoid. Hold on just a second. I don't want to give you the name. It's GL Design. Yes, that's correct. Okay, I just now noticed that it's the owner's initials, but backwards. She is LG, and I have not noticed that before this minute. At any rate, we are always learning here. So they're just outstanding. They've just been a treat, a delight to work with. So
Good. And that's great.
100%.
Thank you for giving them a shout out because we know like we have great appreciation at Blaze for the authors who know how to do social because it really helps get the word out. And it's really hard to do. People think you just kind of like barf up a Facebook post, but we actually like half of our team of 37 people like work on social media. So if you wonder like what we do all day at the Blaze, that's what we do. We just like are on Canva. Anyway, so tell us about the Ocean and Winter, please. I love this book so much. Can you give us your elevator pitch?
Okay,
absolutely. All about.
Okay, the elevator pitch. It's about 3 adult sisters whose mother committed suicide when they were children. And the oldest one actually found the body. And it impacted all 3 of them in very different ways. And their father is also very, very withdrawn and just was a kind of a person in a kind of a generation where he just wasn't able to sort of bring it out into the family and say, let's talk about our feelings. Let's talk about what to do next. He's a mailman. And in fact, he just was a kind of a person who didn't do that. So the 3 of them sort of grew up, never kind of like addressed the psycho-emotional piece of it. And they're all 3 of them at a crossroads in their lives where it's having a really big impact on the next stage. And I think they're all three of them finding that the fact that it's so unresolved is keeping them from quite being in the place in life where they'd like to be. And in one of those situations, it's actually having a more turbulent effect even than the other two. And she has cut off ties with her family, and the other two sisters are concerned that her life may be in danger. And so what do? You'll have to buy the book and find out.
Oh, beautiful. Well done. It's so hard to sum up a book, and you did a gorgeous job with that. And the sisters are all so different. I have so many questions. Would you favor us with a reading so that we can get a taste for what?
Yes, I will. I will.
Okay. We love story hour on the Blaze. I love to do that too. It's one of my favorite things.
Only it won't be a whole hour. In case anybody was afraid.
We love story minute here on the
Okay, this is from the prologue. I'm going to read from the very beginning of the book. And it's Sunday, March 2nd, 2014. And this is in the voice of Riley. Okay. I am hurtling through Massachusetts at a rate of speed I cannot understand. The wind blows my cheeks, but it does not feel cold. I know only generally where I am going, deep into the state's northeast corner, where small towns cluster at the coast like grapes, nestled by a fragile barrier island at the mouth of the Merrimack River. The towns, blanketed now in briny mist, go by these names: Rowley, Newbury, Newburyport, Salisbury, and inland the city of Amesbury, the rough-edged, river-fed mill town, where my sisters and I grew up, a place I left when I was 18 and never returned to. The town was too small for me, I suppose, and too much had happened for me in Amesbury to pretend that we had ever been all that close. A storm has been raging here all day, but now the rain has stopped. In this strange moment, I come to stand on the doorstep of a house in the town of Newbury that I have never seen before, an old farmhouse whose white paint and green trim are cracked and peeling, wooden beams rotted. Behind me, I leave no footprints in the cold mud. What year is this? I think for a moment. Wait, how do I not know the answer immediately? It's 2014. The answer comes to mind like a vague memory, as though the question itself does not matter. The house belongs to my oldest sister, Alex. Time is confusing to me right now. How long has it been since I saw her? Years, I think, but how many? 4, 5, 6, more? Maybe 7. I pushed her away. I pushed everyone away, far away, all to protect my ugly little secrets. Regret lingers in my throat like bile. I've made so many mistakes. I glance through the front window. The room beyond is pitch black. The electricity in this area is out and has been out for a couple of hours. How do I know this? I'm not sure. In the woods beyond this clearing, trees creak high and long like old rocking chairs, swaying slowly in one direction and then the other. The effect is eerie, ghostly. Many secrets stand between me and my sisters, Alex and Colleen, but not all will be revealed tonight. Tomorrow, after dawn breaks, one of these secrets shall become known. Others will unfold in the days to follow. Far from here, a little boy sleeps soundly in his bed in the city. My awareness of him is so intense, I can almost hear his soft, steady breath. Goodbye, sweet Caleb. Mama loves you, though she never did a good job of showing it.
Oh my God, my heart is broken. I'm like, I read this, I know this book, and I'm still like, oh my God, my heart's broken. Oh my gosh, so atmospheric. Thank you. I just feel that the book weaves such a spell. And when I was reading it, I found that like all of the details are so luscious. It's one of the things that I love in fiction. Emerson said, God is in the details, and I absolutely believe that. Can you talk a little bit about I guess process for the book is too long, but how did you find your way into the book? Was it from the research? Was it a detail that caught on you? Was it an image or a character who came to you first?
Oh my gosh, what a good question. So it started with two things. So my husband and I, before we moved here, so it must have been like 14 years ago, or maybe we had just moved here. So let's say 13 years ago. We went down to Chincoteague Island in Maryland, and we took a boat out to Smith Island, which is like a semi-inhabited little island, and it's beautiful and very exactly atmospheric. And it just started me thinking about ghosts and houses and the stories that houses have to tell. And I started thinking that I would love to write a ghost story, but I wanted the ghostly aspect to really open up something about the characters. It really had to reveal something important about their lives and their stories, and it had to also change the next thing that is going to happen. So that was where I started. And then interestingly enough, I started writing it right before my daughter was born, and it was kind of gearing up to be a comedy. And then I had my daughter, and then I wasn't able to come back to it for a couple of years. And I looked at that first page, and I couldn't talk to it ever again. That draft was like, okay, this is not the book. And then it was like I had to think about, okay, well, what do we really love here? And I had already developed this idea about two sisters and their mother having committed suicide, and that was like a baggage, like something that those two carried with them. And then I just kept thinking, is there a third sister? And it was a little bit like not, like a birthing process where they're like, we delivered twins, but is there another baby coming? And I spent a long time thinking, like, is there a third sister? And if so, what would that be like? And it was like, just stop asking questions and just write her, or give her a chance to talk. And she came out with that right off the top. I mean, that was like the first thing I wrote in the draft that would be this book. And then I was hooked, and then I was in. So that was kind of how I got there.
Amazing. So can you describe the sisters for us? Because they're very different in personality, as sisters can be. I have a sister whom I love dearly, and in some ways we are exactly alike, and in other ways I'm like, did you even come from the same body that I came from? Because how did that happen? So I feel as though like these sisters, same thing, like in many ways their DNA is, you can see how intertwined they are, and in many ways they have shot off in three different directions. So tell us about the sisters, please.
Absolutely. So the oldest sister is Alex, and Alex, she was, I think she was 11 when she walked into her home and needed to use the bathroom, and it was a house with one bathroom, and she found her mother's body. And that was like an inciting moment for her, because it really determined the rest of her life. She became the caretaker of the other sisters. And I kind of think I don't know that I wrote this that much in there, but I envisioned her as somebody who would have been very independent and just sort of doing her own thing, sometimes doing well at school, sometimes not, just kind of sometimes doing sports, sometimes not, just not really fitting into a box, but also not letting anybody tell her, you should do this, you should do that. She would be her own kind of person. But when that happened, she really became the caretaker for her sisters. And needed to be responsible, and with the father sort of not necessarily engaging with house things. Like, she was the one that made sure everybody went to the dentist, and she was the one that made sure that there were Christmas presents, and that the tooth fairy came, and that that just made sure all these mom things were all the things that a mother makes sure happens. She was the one making sure it all happened. And then she actually carried that forward into her professional life, and then becomes a nurse. I think she's kind of used to taking care of people, and she loves it. And she just genuinely loves giving of herself. But she is also a traveler. And when we meet her first in the very beginning of the book, she has traveled to India, and then she has learned that she's inherited a house right near where her sisters live. Where she grew up. And so she needs to cut short her trip to India, which is a huge disappointment, because she was really excited about the opportunity of living abroad and getting to know the people and helping people in a small town in India. But her vision is to come and take over this house, and then and fix it up and get back out there. That's her idea of how things will go. And of course, they do not go that way.
Of course not. I know the other sisters have such different personalities too, and there's one of them is a little bit more flighty, and the other one is more traditional. And I wanted to ask, I have so many questions about the context too, and about the writing process, but I feel as though so many stories are about houses. Like somebody goes back to a house or inherits a house, and then the house sort of forces that person to grapple with the past that's embedded in the walls of the house. The house is a character in this book. Can you tell me about the house? Is it your house? Which, by the way, was the sea captain's house. Am I right? And is a historic house.
Well, we thought it was the sea captain's house, but then we got the historical record and there was no sea captain. It was an urban legend.
You're a fiction writer. Oh my gosh. Yes. You're like, so who is the ghost in this house if it's not the sea captain? It's like some weird like masonry dude or something.
It's a shoemaker. This is a shoe. I live in Georgetown, Massachusetts, and it was full of shoemakers back in, I don't know. I'm not going to say a number because it'll be wrong. It was full of shoemakers, and all of the houses, many houses have. Many of the historical houses have these like little huts outside of them. And that was where the shoemaker did their craft. And our hut is long gone. Many are, but you still see some. And that's the story. But the other story, the other urban legend about Georgetown is that we have a beautiful camp right down the street. It's like a beautiful pond with lots of woods and trails and things, and a really fun lodge. Really rustic and awesome. And it's a kids camp every summer. And the other urban legend we have is that Amelia Earhart was a camp counselor there. And it's possible because it was there in the 30s. So, but it's not true, but it's beloved anyway, nonetheless. So, we were looking up here on the North Shore, and we wanted a historic house. We wanted an old house. And so we looked at a lot of old houses, and our incredibly patient real estate agent is a woman named Meg Matthews Herman, and she might be here. She's on my Facebook page. So I just want to shout her out. We actually ran her into the ground, and she quit being a real estate agent after that. So if anybody needs one, I'm sorry, we ruined her for real estate, and now she lives in Gloucester with her horse and her chickens and her beautiful family. But we saw a lot of houses, and we did all this thinking about like who is living here and why are things not looking the way we expect them to look in a house, and why it just brought up, we all kept talking about all the stories that the houses had to tell. And that definitely made it into that kind of thinking made it in, because actually there's not just the one house. Every single house is really distinctive and is kind of like a piece of the haunting. I mean, there's like a house fire, and there's the house that Alex inherits, but then there's also the house that Colleen goes to, where she seeks refuge out on Plum Island, and that's the ocean. And then there's the youngest sister is a model, and she's basically homeless, and that's part of her too. But the specific house that Alex inherits is not necessarily a real house, and it's not even a house that I saw, but it is just very indicative of very typical of the houses that are up here. And then it's out on the marshes in Newberry. It's not too far from Tender Crop Farm. And actually, I had a giveaway very early on for a free advanced reader copy. And a friend of mine ended up winning it, because mostly it was my friends who entered because they were the only ones who knew about it. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's set right near your house. So if you
oh my god, I just remembered. I have had summer Blaze brain, but we are having a giveaway of Elizabeth's book. Ta-da! So with a moonlight on the cover. If you want to be eligible for the giveaway, ask a question or post a comment in any of the comment threads, and we will see it, and we will choose a winner. So yes, you can win a free copy. And I believe there was some talk about also giving people a gift certificate for coffee somewhere, or I might just need coffee, and I made that up.
Coffee, whatever. Yeah, cookies, anything. So my husband just put his head into the room. Brom.
We love a good husband Blaze bomb, and we love bombs. Brom is one of my favorite people. So bring him on. And where is the dog? Where is Krabby Momo?
He's trying to get the dog. I think he's trying to.
So funny.
I'll narrate it like a sportscaster, or like you know what? I've been listening to this podcast, and they interviewed Elizabeth Banks recently, and she was talking about Pitch Perfect. And they're doing, when they're explaining what's going on with the a cappella groups. Oh, here, Brom has the tennis ball. Momo, here it comes. Momo, come on. Okay, here's Brom.
Oh my God, this is very exciting. Hi, this is a very rare thing. Like Brom is like hiding. Hi, Brom, I see you.
Okay, you're on TV. Okay, right.
Hi. Brom is
Jenna.
But hi, how are you? Where's Momo? Where's Cubby Momo?
Okay, all right, we just have to adjust.
Bring it.
I don't know. Can you see? There he is.
Hi, Momo.
There he is.
Oh my God, so
Momo.
cute. Thank you. Yay, Momo. Oh my gosh, so great. You guys don't understand what a rarity this is. It's a rare privilege to see Brom and to see Momo. Like both of them are notoriously camera shy, so this is a very big deal. Thank you, Brom.
Exactly right.
Thank you.
Here's Momo.
Oh, yay. Hi, Momo. Yes, those of you who have dogs like Carol Ann, who is on our screen right now, like her photo is her dog. We love dogs here. Send us all your dogs. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, bye, Brom. Bye, Momo. We're going to talk about the book. You can stay, though, if you want to. That's totally fine. So, Elizabeth, I wanted to ask about this, like, because you mentioned it in, bye. Okay, you could stay. You have to go, but that was so lovely. It's so good to see those guys. You mentioned like a little bit earlier in the conversation that one of the things that defines the sisters and kind of explodes their constellation early on, so they have to find their way back to each other, is that their mom commits suicide. And that's such a difficult thing to write about. And I'm wondering why the choice of that subject, why was that so important to put in the book? And then how do you write about this without feeling the heaviness as the writer? And if you did feel that heaviness, how did you cope with it? So that's really like 3 questions, but please just tell us about the...
Yeah, I hear you. And you know what I'm realizing? Brom couldn't hear you because I have on earbuds. So when he was
like, what? Okay, that's why he was...
That's why he looked a little like he couldn't hear you. Okay, so where did it come from? So it started with just thinking about something that would be haunted, like transformatively haunting. And I think early on it felt kind of random. Like I just have to find something that kind of both pulls the sisters together, but also pulls them apart, and in a unique way. And I feel like I came up with the idea of suicide, of their mother's suicide. It felt sort of random, like, oh, here's one thing it could be. But, actually every one of my books has, or at least the first 3 books that I've written, but this is the only one you can read now, they've all had suicide in there in some portion. And I think it's just because that's something that I have just been thinking about. Like, I mean, I think when I go into a dark place, I'm not at risk at all, but that's just where my thinking kind of goes, but I'm A-okay. Absolutely. And I actually had a wonderful, I don't remember your other question, so I'll just keep talking about this topic. Please. So was it heavy? That was your question, which is so interesting because remember I said I started writing it when I was pregnant, and I would work on it every morning, and it was going to be this kind of funny story about a woman there were circus entertainers, and I don't know, but she did have like a haunted house, and her mother had committed suicide and all these things. And, but I think that because I was expecting my daughter, I was not able to go into the dark places, and I just wasn't letting myself go there. And so I was trying to turn it into something light. And then of course, when she was 3, then I had more courage about going into those places and thinking about those things, and it did sit with me. But you know what? When I first started writing this is an interesting tidbit about it. Is that it takes place in winter in Massachusetts, but there's no snow. There are no snowstorms, and that's because when I really found my footing was January of 2015. And if you remember the winter of January 15, it didn't snow until late in January. Now, once it started snowing, it didn't stop, and it became the snowiest winter in Massachusetts, I believe. And but by then it had already been ingrained in there that one of the things that was kind of hi Jerry, that was kind of painful. It was like just another indication of the pain and the heaviness was the fact that it was a super cold winter without any snow. And it was like, at least if it was snowing, it would kind of be warmer or funner or nicer. And it was like, no, there's no snow. So, and then I had to make sure that they understood that when they were designing the cover. I had to say, it is winter, so there's nobody, sunbathing, and there are no towels and umbrellas, but also no snow. So then the other interesting thing back to suicide was that in January, I guess I was putting information about the book on my LinkedIn account. And then I saw that a friend of mine who I had not been in touch with for years and years, really like 25 years, something like that, was the chief communications. Well, don't make me say his role because I won't get it. He's a major communications guy at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I had the wonderful opportunity of rekindling that friendship with Mr. Brett Ween. And he has been a post-publication advisor, and he read it and he gave it the A-OK that it was all, it all kind of made sense and it's all good. He's just been a huge support. So, and he and I are going to do some kind of an online convo at some point about the experience of being a suicide loss survivor, because that is what he is as well. He lost his mom to suicide. So he has just been like one of those connections. And then I will share the very sad situation that came. I didn't have any experience with suicide in my life or in my family or with my friends or anything. And then in mid-March of 21, I found out that a beloved family member had taken his life. Didn't know that anything was happening for this person. And I don't want to name the person because it isn't my information to share. And then, the people he leaves behind, I feel like I'm 100 times more aware of all the things they're going through, and it's so painful and so sad, and it's so like disarming for the people who are grieving, because it's so complicated, because you want to feel like if you had a choice, why did you make that choice? Mm-hmm. And I kind of don't think that people do have a choice, but you can't convince yourself of that easily. And it's so easy to go to the blaming myself. Why wasn't I a better family member? Why wasn't I a better friend? Why wasn't I better? If only I'd called that person 10 minutes earlier, it could have stopped the whole thing. And it's just, I don't think in most cases that isn't true. And Brett has told me that, when suicide happens, it isn't just one thing. It's not like something just went wrong. It's a whole bunch of things that were going on in that person's life. And for whatever reason, they were unable to find the help they needed. And so, I'm going to say this every single time we talk about this, but if anybody out there is going through stuff, please reach out. And get the support you need, because you're beautiful and you're a member of our family and we need you. So water.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, water is important. I mean, I really appreciate you talking about this. It's so hard to talk about. And the book is I feel as though it has so many levels, like a really beautiful river. Like the top level is its readability and the detail, the sisters. And then there's the house, and there are ghost stories woven throughout. And then there is that weight at the center of it, which is like the ocean in winter, like the snowless winter and that cold.
Yeah.
And I think that when I write very dark books, which surprises people. And then I become a sort of lightning rod for readers who want to talk about those topics. So I imagine that you will also be able to help people in the same way. So again, guys, go to Elizabeth's Instagram, her Facebook, so that you can see her events. And if you are a suicide family member survivor, or you want to learn more about that topic, you can follow her events and participate. And so that's really what gives the book, I think, its weight, is the sisters orbiting their mothers, the loss of their mother, to this thing that is so difficult to cope with, and then how they cope with it. So really important stuff, as well as beautiful. We have questions from the audience. I know one of them from Miss Rachel. We're so happy to see her. Our favorite in the world, from Guyman, Oklahoma, who has put up with me so many times. You outline your story to let the story just flow through your fingers. That doesn't actually happen, Miss Rachel, but in the paper. How many manuscripts have you tucked away waiting for a chance to see publication? Great questions, of course.
Yay. All right. Do I outline? Hi, Rachel. Okay. First of all, can I just say mwah, mwah, mwah to Rachel and to all of our family in Guyman, Oklahoma. I got an email from Malin Johnson, and she was trying to talk me into basically like packing my bag right now and coming out there. And if life was different, I would be there. I would be there, and I would not leave there. So I just need to make that clear. Although Rachel isn't there either.
I mean, she's close. She's in Hooker, I think.
No, I think she moved.
Rachel, are you in Hooker or are you in Texas? Put it in the chat, please.
Well,
so, and
yeah, put it in the chat. Anyway,
a real place. I'm not just being fresh.
And Rachel's really from there.
No, Hooker is in Oklahoma, and then there's also Beaver, Oklahoma. I mean, I don't know what they're doing out there, but we've talked about this before. Y'all are a sassy bunch out on the Panhandle.
Okay, with Frito pie.
Do you outline, or do you let the story flow?
I don't necessarily outline, but I need to know the outline. So I guess I need to know the shape. Like, I need to know where we're starting, and I need to know where we're going to end up, and then I kind of like tinker along the way, for sure. But I do need to know, and the basics, and then it takes crazy turns. You know, in this one, there's kind of like a romance story. And the funny thing about that is that I originally had the middle sister having the romance, but then I got all enveloped with the younger sister having a romance. And by the time I was done, I was like, well, now I can write a romance for the other one. And I was like, well, no, you can't. That's been done. And then I literally had the thought, she stole her sister's boyfriend.
So romantic. So romantic. I mean,
naughty. But that's okay. The middle sister she'll find love. It'll all work out.
Good. And then we know, I mean, Rachel and I know, because this is why you were out on the Panhandle in the first place and opened the door both for yourself and for me, meeting all these fantastic people. But how many books do you have tucked away that we can anticipate seeing the light of day?
2 other sort of completed books, plus another book, and the first one is the Oklahoma book that was from the Dust Bowl, set in the Oklahoma Dust Bowl, which is what brought me out to the Panhandle of Oklahoma a few years ago, which was just a gift. I mean, it's not Disneyland out there, and it's not New York. And if you're looking for Korean barbecue, you probably won't find it. If you can find it, it's like there's one place, tops, because of some funny story, because somebody got married and moved out there. But it's so starkly beautiful and windswept, and you want to talk about the land telling you a story. It is absolutely one of my spiritual heartthrob places in the world, along with India and other, it's absolutely one of my favorite places. And then actually, Jenna, the funny thing is, you were talking about how we did that trip together where we scooped up Elvia, and that I was working on a book, and I don't think I was working on a book, but like things that happened after that like inspired the book. I got to meet the son of the singer-songwriter Townes Van Zandt, and then that started me thinking about generations of singer-songwriters, and then that started me working on my next project, which became a book, and that one is finished. And so who knows, maybe some of this will bring some new life into it. And then I have another book that I wrote that needs some work, and then another book that I'm working on now that needs a lot of work.
I'm so glad they're all lined up, like the train cars on the track. We need that. I have like 3 books in my office, but I feel very little inclination to write any of those books. I have to say, like Blaze is much more fun, but but I remember I did, full disclosure, read Elizabeth's book about the Dust Bowl in our Grub Street workshop, and I remember it so vividly. And when Kristen Hanna came out with her book, The Four Winds, earlier this year, which is also a great book, and you guys should read it and watch the interview because she was fantastic. I was like, it's such a natural pairing, like your book and her book, and thinking about is it Black Monday? I want to say Black Monday, but that might not
Sunday.
Black Sunday. Thank you.
Sunday, because they all went to church. Yeah,
right. Exactly. Like the crazy Dust Bowl stories that would literally make your hair stand up. I mean, if you were there, your hair would stand up and blue sparks would shoot from it. Super fantastic stuff.
Right.
And it's just an amazing adventure. So Anissa, one of our favorite people, wants to know what surprised you about yourself as you were writing this book. Great question, Anissa, as always.
Good question. Okay. I have a good story for you. And this has you in it, Jenna Blum.
Great.
So my daughter was in preschool, I think, when I was working on this, that winter of 2015. And it was 3 days a week for a couple of hours. And I remember thinking, this is so great. Now I have writing time. I'll get out there and I'll write. And the thing was, I would like get to the cafe and I'd sit down to write. And I'd be like, what are these characters' names? I literally couldn't remember. Like I'd be writing a scene and I was like, what are their names? And I couldn't remember. So I went back and I looked for the names. And then I was like, well, that's not their name. That's not a good name. And then I'd have to spend another half an hour looking for a new name. And by the time it was over, then I had to go pick up my daughter. And it was like, this is not a writing process that's going to get me anywhere. And then you posted something on Facebook where somebody had issued a 100 days writing challenge. And it was like, all you had to do obviously you could shape it any way you wanted to, but all you had to do was write every single day for 100 days. And I thought to myself, what if I'm going to try that? And then I know that like the days that she's in school, preschool, I'll have like automatic time. And then the days when she's not in preschool, I'm going to really need to make an effort to wake up early to claim some time, to like get some time in the morning. And until I kept track of my days, and I told myself that, okay, the rules are if you have 15 minutes that you write for, that counts as a day. And if you feel like you want to give it the 15 minutes and then go back to bed or whatever it is, that still counts, like you did your thing. And then if you come and you do your 15 minutes and you keep going for 2 more hours, then that's great. And then that gave me the momentum to build up so that I remembered the characters' names and why they were the right names and, why I was making choice. Like I remember what I was doing yesterday when I was doing it the next day. And it sounds like such a little thing. And everybody says, try to write every day. And when you have 8 hours a day, you can take a day off here or there. It doesn't matter. But when your time is really, really restricted, the writing every day thing is critical, even if it's short, even if it's like, it's such a small piece of time, you almost don't get much done. But what you got done was that you imprinted it in your consciousness that this is what I'm doing, so that tomorrow you pick up where you left off. So that's what I learned about myself. I learned that I was able to get up early and get to work, and that I love that I actually really, really love that. Because that winter of 2015, after we got through the no snow days, there were like a million snow days. And so that like keeping up with the 100 days meant a lot of early mornings. But it was 7 feet of snow in 2015.
7 feet of snow. I remember because I had just moved back to the city from the Midwest, and I was like, well, that was good timing. Like literally we climbed over cars to take the dog out because the cars were buried in the snow. So we would literally walk on top of the cars to get out there. And the mayor was like, people, stop jumping out the second floor windows of your houses. That is not how to get out. So I'm so glad you said that about the 15 minutes a day, because so many of us, and Barbara has a great question I'll get to in 1 second, but so many of us, myself included, used to think, oh, if I didn't have, 6 days in a row with nothing to do, or like my favorite New Yorker cartoon says, can't write today because I have a dentist appointment in 2 months. And that was like how was, and how I still prefer to write like huge swaths of time, totally clear. But what would happen is that I would never write because there is no swath of time like that. And when I wrote my most recent book, I was doing it, getting up an hour earlier and just writing a little bit every day. And you can totally do it that way. You can just do it 15 minutes a day. So thank you for that advice. So Barbara wanted to know, is The Ocean in Winter out in audio? Great question.
Yes, it is. It is. It's with Blackstone. So the whole thing is published by Blackstone. Tracy, here's our logo anyway. Whoop, which way do we go? There it is.
Oh, I know.
I still don't know how to do it. And Blackstone started in publishing with audiobooks. So a lot of audiobooks are with Blackstone Publishing. And so it is in audio. And actually, the fact that it is it's revolving points of view among the three sisters, and it's all first person and present tense, which I think makes it particularly interesting in audio. But I have not heard it yet, but I'm looking forward to hearing it. So, but the answer, anyway, to make a short story long, yes.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. And I find it to be a great time to take a road trip when the book comes out in audio, because then you can just cry in your car. And I mean, it's such an honor to hear your stuff translated, and it's also so weird because you're like, that's not how that character sounds. And then for other characters, you think that's exactly how that character sounds, and how did the narrator know? And I get very engrossed in my own books, and even though I wrote them, I'm like, what is going to happen to these people? Oh my God! Driving off the road. So I highly recommend the road trip. We have a really great question from Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Kind of rolls into a question that I wanted to ask about your debut. How does your debut pub day compare to what you thought it would be like during all those years of writing other books? I wanted to ask you about your triumph in publishing this book. So many authors are like, it takes so long to get published, and they give up. The road to publication is littered with author bodies of people who are like, never mind, I'm just going to go to the beach, or do other things in life, like have a family, start a law firm. Like, how did you sustain your faith, and how does this day feel to you?
Oh my goodness. Oh, let me start with Jamie's question, and let me start by saying hi, Jamie, because Jamie, so I did two kinds of pieces of the Jenna Blum Grub Street classes. And the first one was like casual. You're like writing a book, but maybe you don't even know that you're really writing the book, but you get to come and talk to these other writers. And Jenna was so awesome. And Jamie was there. So that was my very first day of Grub Street. And then we went out for beer afterwards. It was wonderful. So, but then I graduated from that class into the like, Jenna Blum, you are writing a book. You're seriously writing a book. You're seriously going to show up and read other people's books. And you're seriously going to take this seriously. And I'm not even kidding. So I graduated into that one. So hi, Jamie, that's my point. So it feels a little strange, Jamie, mostly because of the COVID stuff, which is such a strange thing again, because it feels like it both, you would expect like a lot of bookstore visits and a lot of, you would expect maybe your publicist would have set up visits to places, people in places and things like that. And there are a few of those, and I've been emailing a lot of bookstores and just getting a lot of people saying, we're just not ready. We're just not ready to have a lot of people in yet. So it's totally okay, but it just, my two big events today and tomorrow are this, and then my Grub Street debut, and those are, I know, I'm so excited. And the neat thing is that they're online, so Rachel Sides is right here with us. Like, that's really cool. But it does feel different, because I thought it was going to be much more like you walk into a room and there's, Brie and deviled eggs. Like, I just thought that was going to like be a big part of it.
Oh, I meant to get some Brie and deviled eggs to hold on the screen. My mom, when she was like feeding my stuffed animals when she was little, would make this noise. I was like, so I could just like hold out the Brie and be like, eat the Brie, the Brie. Oh, I know. We will have Brie and deviled eggs. And it is something that we've been doing at Blaze, where we've been sort of walking that line. Are we open? Are we not open? And I think like the virtual dimension is going to work out well because we can have people from far away come to the events that are live. So stay tuned because we're going to be like trying to squash hybrid experience into our live events, which when I say I mean me, like that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be kooky. So yes, we are doing an event tomorrow night with Grub as well. We love Grub. They're like our sister organization, and it has given me all of my friendships, like the most amazing things. So I wanted to ask quickly, because we've been keeping you for almost an hour, it has flown by, but I wanted to ask, what like one line of advice do you have for writers who are like, boy, this is a slog? Like, how did you keep going?
Yeah. How do you keep going? You have to love it. You have to love every moment of it, and you have to show up because you love it. And you have to show up and do the writing because there's rejections the whole time. I mean, I woke up this morning thinking, yay, it's pub day. And then another part of me is like, oh, good, more rejections, like more people to say no. And that's not what this is about. I mean, you're looking for an agent, and that's going to include, as part of the fun of the process, is like a lot of rejections. Mm-hmm. And then, I found an agent. Oh, let's find an editor and a publisher. And that's going to include, as part of the fun, a lot of rejections. And then you're going to get there. And then this next part is going to include, it's some great stuff, but some rejections. And that's just how it is. But we do it because we love it, and because it is who we are. And because if you don't want to write, don't write. Go water skiing. Go to Jerry's exercise class. Go Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and Thursday afternoon, because she's awesome. But no, I would have a lot more time for exercising if I wasn't doing this writing nonsense. I could earn a lot more money and have a bigger, more historical house. I would have a better kitchen. I would, you know what I mean? Like if you don't love it, don't do it. But if you love it, don't worry about all the other stuff. Just show up. Just do it. Do it every day. Love every moment. Love the research. Love the people you find along the way. Hold on to the people you find along the way. Take all of the advice in, and if the advice doesn't make any sense, then throw it back out and go deep and live your life. And that is my advice to you. That's all my advice. And join Grub Street.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. That was like a tsunami of encouragement and love and advice. We're never going to get better than that today. So we are just going to set you free to go off and enjoy the rest of your debut day. But first, I do want to announce our winner for the giveaway. Ready? Drum roll. Drum roll on my laptop, obviously. So Rachel, Miss Rachel, yay!
Rachel, yay!
It's like so absurd because we love Rachel so much. And Rachel has brought me out to the Panhandle with every single book. And she's been such a great supporter of authors. She loves authors. She is like one of the most hooked up people in the whole world for authors. So yay, Rachel, we love you. So fantastic. And Elizabeth, we love you so much. And thank you for what you just said about writing. I think you encouraged a lot of people who are sometimes finding it hard to find the love. So just remember why you're doing it, because you love your characters, your people, your story, and just show up every day. And then you will get to this place that Elizabeth is in, embracing her debut. Ocean and Winter, guys, you need to buy this. If you're interested in sisters, in a good read, in how you put your life back together after tragedy, in beauty and in compassion and love, just please buy this book. Do yourself a favor. You will love it. So Elizabeth, we love you. Have a great, great debut day, okay?
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you.
Congratulations. Bye.
Thank
you everybody so much for watching. Bye.